Joining me now in studio is Dr. Emily Landau, a senior research fellow and the head of the Arms Control and Regional Security Program at the INSS. Thank you, Dr. Landau, for joining us.
My pleasure.
So what was behind Egypt's intent on driving their initiative, and was it correct for Jerusalem to be very concerned?
I think so. This is a very long process that we've been in with regard to the NPT review conferences. It goes back to 1995 when the Egyptians were first able to get a resolution agreed upon that included this idea of creating a weapons of mass destruction free zone in the Middle East. It's really a long-term agenda for Egypt, this pressure on Israel in the nuclear realm. I mean, they talk about a weapons of mass destruction free zone, but clearly this is focused first and foremost on Israel. There's a demand there for Israel to join the NPT. For a long time, nothing really happened with this. In 2010, there was finally movement. It dovetailed with Obama and his disarmament agenda. The Egyptians were able to get this back on the agenda with a provision that said that there should be a conference on this topic by the end of 2012. Short story is that did not happen, but it still remained on the agenda. Over the past year, there were 5 informal meetings that were held to try to work out an agenda for this conference, with Israel participating at a high level, official level, where Israel aired its concerns and said that we actually need a regional process that doesn't only talk about weapons of mass destruction, but that talks about a whole host of regional security issues that are of concern not only to Israel, but to many states in the region. These talks did not, reach an agreement as far as the agenda, and the process ended about 6 months ago. And in the lead up to the NPT review conference, it was clear that this would be revisited. No one knew exactly how the Egyptians would react this time, but Israel's hope was that it would be given some credit for participating with this process, even with all of the difficulties that this poses for Israel, not a member of the NPT, making decisions in a place where Israel's not even present. Instead, Egypt came with a very hardline proposal that would have caused real problems. No recognition of the progress that was made, no recognition of Israel, working together, trying to conduct direct dialogue, all the things that we need in the Middle East. Thankfully, it was a long story over the 4 weeks of the NPT review conference, lots of hard negotiating. At the end of the day, the United States objected to the proposed resolution. Britain and Canada joined, and thus Egypt actually overplayed its hand. If it had been slightly less harsh, they might have passed a resolution that would have caused real problems for Israel.
So the next NPT review conference is in 2010, and of course 2020. And of course, Jerusalem will be having to getting prepared for that in light of the political implications that we've seen also in this past conference, and of course the relationship with the United States, which is many will say is on its shaky last feet, and of course in light of a possible Iran deal.
Well, right. Well, first of all, the end result of the RevCon was good news for U.S.-Israeli relations, because the United States did block this, and of course Netanyahu thanked Secretary of State Kerry for this support, this important support. If it had gone the other way, I think this would have been, we would have entered some kind of crisis mode with the United States, especially after what happened in 2010. So it's good news for U.S.-Israeli relations. Now, in parallel, of course, we have this whole negotiation with Iran. Iran is the state that is actually raising concerns with regard to the nuclear issue. In other words, Egypt focuses on Israel in the NPT review conference, but we all know that Egypt is not really threatened by Israel in the nuclear realm with whatever it assumes that Israel has. The real threat is Iran, and states in the region are reacting to that, including Egypt. First and foremost, the Gulf states. What we heard, Saudi Arabia has already made claims that it will gain whatever capabilities Iran does, and therefore, if there is a development that will spark nuclear proliferation, dangerous nuclear proliferation in this region, it will be because of the Iran case, and certainly not because of Israel.
Dr. Emily Landau, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.